Hi everyone, my name is Voya and welcome to my deep guide. In today's video, I'm going to do something a little bit different. Recently, I was rearranging my music gear and I was interested in getting the Behringer's 3-tier desktop stand to free up some space and maybe rearrange things so it's more accessible and easier to use. When I checked it out, there were two things that did to me. First one was the price, $85 plus shipping plus tax and everything. It's like also the availability, it's like almost nowhere except in Tom and in Germany, here in Europe, but then taxes come and everything else. If I want to get it without paying additional taxes and everything, then I would have to wait like end of August, plus it's heavy, so the shipping goes and it's like roughly north of $100 for a stand. I will not stand for that. So I checked it out. I decided to make my own. A super cheap version, 10 bucks or less, and I wanted to spend less than 1 day on that. So those were my guidelines, and the very first thing was what material I'm gonna use. You can follow these directions and you can build your own using either the same plexiglass type of material that I had, or you can use wood. It really doesn't matter as long as it's thick enough, at least 4 millimeters or so. I used plexiglass because that was readily available for me to actually buy for, I think it translates $9.89 or something like that. It was a panel of 600 by 400 millimeters and that was more than enough. Here's how that went. Alright, so the very first thing that I'm gonna do is to get the shape or the trace or a guide out of a piece of cardboard. So just grab any piece of cardboard that's kind of okay. And I'm gonna use the printout from the quick start manual because I have some of the sizes here. And then I recalculated these to actually get the width here, but they're not exactly necessary because we're gonna use this, and this is just one of the side panels from one of your Behringer devices, but take into consideration this is not the wood panel, this is the metal panel that goes underneath the wood because it's thin enough, and you'll see what we use that for later. You'll need a pen, scalpel, and a ruler, and that's pretty much it. So the very first thing that I'm gonna do is I'm gonna measure out a rectangle here that's going to be 275.4 millimeters and I think this is 332 millimeters tall. It didn't print out here, but you'll see in the quick start guide. So that's the very first thing I'm going to do. Alright, so that's my square, and now I'm just gonna add some more drawings here so that I can have some trace lines a little bit so that I know how to orient things. The first one that I'm going to do is I'm going to measure out 76.5 millimeters from this side and draw a vertical, because that's going to be a vertical guide for that, and after that I am going to be able to actually place everything using this little guide. This is where my vertical portion of the synth will be, and you need to remember that there's going to be like a 1 millimeter offset from the wood between this, so it's going to go a little bit 1 millimeter forward from where the metal part is. So I'm gonna draw a line here. I'm simply gonna extend this line. Now, before I start doing the bottom, I'm gonna actually have to do this cut here. And at this stage, I think it's a good idea to cut this square out, and I'll show you why. Use the scalper, cut it out, and here it is. So that's my square cutout, 275.4 by 332 millimeters. To continue where we left off, I first marked the area here, how high the first one or the vertical unit will be. Now, in order to mark the bottom one, I needed to cut this to size, and here's the reason why. What I want to do is I'm gonna bring a unit here that has all of its feet and everything. I'm gonna put this on the side and then just mark how high the unit is, because I want the bottom of the stand to reach the bottom on the same bottom that the synths are also using, so that the bottom synth is also fastening these two sides on the side. So I'm just gonna bring up the synth now. I'm gonna simply set it on the ground. I'm gonna set this cardboard next to it, and I'm going to align so that it's actually leaning on the floor all the way, and I'm gonna move it until this line here is meeting the line of the synth. So basically that's where I would like it to be. So what I'm gonna do is simply keep it straight and trace the line to the side, and I'm gonna make sure that I mark where the height of the synth is at the end. So I'm simply marking an X that you will see once I turn everything around. So that's done, and this is the X that I was talking about. And now I'm simply gonna use the ruler to strengthen this line that I traced from the synth. Okay, now let's see and compare, and yep, so we got another fit as well, and I'm ensuring that the height of the stand is going to be the height of the synth, so that's good. And now it's super simple, because the very last thing that's left is to ensure that, yep, there's room enough for the third one here, and all I need to do is grab my ruler like so, and presto, that's the shape. So now I need to cut this section out. That's our basic shape. We have room for bottom synth, middle synth, top synth as well. I'm gonna use this guide for one of the most important parts, and that's actually to mark where the holes are. Now this is where it's important for you to decide whether you want to leave that millimeter from the edge or not. I do. So I'm gonna align it like this, and I'm gonna use a pencil, graphite pencil, and then I'm simply gonna mark first a dot, and then in the middle of it I'm gonna push in to actually make a physical hole. And I'm gonna mark all 4 of them, and it is necessary, even though we're using only 2 screws to fasten them. I mean, we could use 4, why not? At this point, who cares? So, there we go. So we got 4 holes here. Alright, now while I have this position here, I'm also gonna see, I'm gonna mark this curve here and this curve here, because I wanna make a nice line here and then curve it. And I'm gonna do, well, I can just connect that. And I'm going to align to the holes that I already have here. And now I'm gonna mark this one over here. And I'm just gonna draw a straight line. So now we got the rough shape here, we have the details, we have the holes. So I'm gonna grab my scissors, and I'm just gonna cut this off and round off the corners to make it pretty. And presto, that's that. We have our guide. So all I need to do now is trace this on the plastic that I got, cut it out, drill the holes, and there you go, it's done. Alright, so here is the plexiglass type of thing. Now this red thing is just the plastic foil on top that protects the whole thing. So I'm not gonna take it off, simply because I don't want to scratch it while I'm working with it. And I've prepared 2 of these so that I can just see how to arrange them. But I'm gonna draw out only the same one, because I don't want any imperfections between these to actually reflect. So I'm just gonna simply use this to draw out the lines. Now, I'm gonna make as few cuts as I need to. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna align that my longest straight lines, and most importantly that the right angle here, the corner, is already done for me, that I don't have to deal with that. So I'm gonna do that, And I'm gonna wanna do the same thing on the other end as well, if I can. Now, the most economical way would be to actually do this, and or maybe even this, something like that. That way you waste the least amount of plastic. However, since my Dremel doesn't work, and I'm gonna be using this to cut, I really want to avoid cutting these verticals and dealing with that. So I am going to arrange this one to be on the upper end, which you can't really see at the moment. Or does it fit like this? It does not. I'm gonna make sure that this, once it's aligned, I am not gonna move it. So what you can do if you wanted to, you could use a little bit of sticky tape and twirl it around and then just use it to stick it down. You could use also a press to kind of hold it together, but the whole point is to use now a thin marker and trace this around. There we go. So that's my first trace. Alright, both pieces have now been traced onto the plastic, and I'm gonna start cutting. Alright, I'm gonna do this the good old-fashioned way, so let's go. Now I'm gonna just put them together precisely here at the right angle and clamp them together, and then just file this and make it nice and smooth. Alright, these are now, I guess, done. I can do some more fine-tuning when I detach them, but pretty much that's it. Now to mark the holes, drill them, and that's it. This is the screw that I'm gonna use, and this is a 3mm bit. Here I got both pieces and the tracer that we made, the cardboard one, with the hole marks aligned using the holders here. So now I'm just gonna drill the holes. Here they are. So now I'm gonna take off the protection, use a little bit of 1200 sandpaper to finish it off. I do have one problem, but I was kind of lucky. Upon drilling one of the holes, I had a crack, but luckily it didn't go through all the way, so it's still in one piece. Alright, there we go. Now with a little bit of tidying up, I think it's gonna look pretty, so that's kind of cool. And the second one as well. Sweet. Alright, so here are both of the pieces. I have a microfiber cloth to clean it up. So what I'm gonna do is now take off the side of each of these guys and I'm gonna first put on the right side and then see how that goes. So hopefully this all works. Alright, all three now have the sides off. Alright, so we have the side. There's like 3 screws that are off, but I don't care. I have enough for it to actually be very sturdy. Now the question is, can I put this onto the synths? So that's the next step. I forgot to put the metal ones. Going in. Alright, got 2 of them. Let's try and get the 3rd one in. I think, yep, we got it. The first side is on. Now I have to be very, very careful and turn it around onto the other side. Okay, good. And now put on the other side. Not looking for perfection here. Alright. Well, yeah, not all holes match. So I definitely botched up there, but I think I have enough of them to have a stable enough stand. So I'm just gonna carefully tighten this so that I don't crack anything further. And now let's see what happens. Well, my stand is done and it's holding them together and it works perfectly. Whee! It works. I have my stand. I've done it in less than a day, and it's under $10 and I didn't have to use any fancy tools or anything like that. One thing that I would definitely change would be, of course, some better measurements of drilling of the holes. I was just in a really big hurry at that time, so I just went like bzz, 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 bzz. Luckily, enough of the holes worked, so everything's sturdy, stable, and works perfectly. There was an unexpected plus for me. I just chose the plexiglass because it was the cheapest option that I could get immediately that day. It being transparent is actually something that I really like because it frees up space and it doesn't look that bulky at all because it's transparent, and then you just have these guys floating in the air. So that was definitely an added and unexpected plus. Thank you for watching. I hope you found the video useful and interesting. If you did so, please like and subscribe, and see you in the next video. Bye!